This week on the Fantasy Beer Name Podcast.
A little bit of Doombar. We're also going to discuss an article that was in Beervana.
Hops and racism.
We need to embark on a campaign to make cask breathers acceptable.
Can't blame American breweries in Vermont for all your problems, Chris.
I had an explosion in my cupboard.
Oh, thank God.
Top it up, man.
I apologise to number 36, by the way. Your tulips are fucked.
Hello and welcome to the Fantasy Beer Name Podcast, episode 10. I'm Chris.
I'm Paul.
And yeah, so episode 10, a big one, Paul.
We think it's episode 10.
I think it's episode 10.
Could be.
Yeah,
Could be a completely different number.
I'm not going to go into that. How are you, Paul?
I'm grand. I've had a tough hard week at work, but it's all over and I'm ready for a beer.
It's time for a beer. Shall we crack one open? Because we've got a lineup of 5, which we've got tentatively...
We've got some great beers, actually. So we're going to kick off with something from your Brewser box.
Mm-hmm.
Pipeline. All Eyes on You, which is a IPA, 5%, and looks like it's full of Equinox, Mosaic, and Nelson Sauvin.
Nice. I'm not au fait with Equinox, really, so let's...
It'll be stone fruit and tropical flavours, Chris, as we always know.
Okay, then. Yeah, so this is from the Brewser box. These are a new brewery on Brewser, which is one of the reasons why I decided to go for this one. You too can lock in your Pipeline Brewing box if you want, or another brewery, by going on to our sponsors, Brewser.
That was convincing.
Yeah. So basically, we've actually managed to get a really good code out of them.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Like a code.
£10 off your first box with the code PlanetBeerTV. So if you're not on it, what the hell are you playing at? Go and get on it.
What's
Type in
that code
PlanetBeerTV,
again?
PlanetBeerTV, and you can get £10 off your first box.
Just writing that down, Chris.
Oh, it's in the show notes.
Okay, but what is it again?
PlanetBeerTV.
Great code.
Yeah. So yeah, that's got that bit out the way. What we're thinking on this, I mean, it's a nice ronk. It's very, very pleasant.
I'm sorry, I'm feeling really dejected after the football. Sorry, we recorded this just after England played their second game against Denmark, and Christ.
Against Mikkeller.
So it's just
Green King versus Mikkeller.
Green King, the best of the British brews. It's just took the wind out of myself. God, it was depressing.
It was pretty,
Anyway,
I took off my England shirt just to put my track one on.
And your tracksuit bottoms.
And my tracksuit bottoms, yeah. But anyway, yes, this is a lovely beer. We've obviously done a video using a Pipeline beer before. The Theols one.
Yeah, the
Theols.
God, that seems like such a long time ago.
January.
My God.
Yeah.
This year.
Mm-hmm.
Christ.
So, this is the Fantasy Beer Name Podcast. Welcome to those of you who haven't listened before. So the reason why it's called the Fantasy Beer Name Podcast is because every episode is named after a fantasy beer that comes from a list of things that me and Paul have just wrote down because we've said something that's a bit of an inside joke, a bit funny, but we also think, hey, that would make a good name for a beer. This week, I think we've got a good one.
Yeah, I think we decided on this together. We usually just pick them out of a hat, but it was quite an eventful few weeks for us because there's some fighting the old dogs yet. I think we went to a gig.
Yay! Our first gig together.
Yeah,
it was a bonding experience.
It was a lovely experience. And what came off the back of that is the title of today's podcast, which is
Rum Job.
Rum Job.
Rum Job, yeah.
Rum Job.
Yeah, it's I suppose it is a bit of a double entendre.
It is a little bit. For Rum Jib.
Yes, so Rum Job, this happened on the night that we went to go and see King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard together.
Oh yeah, what a band.
What a band, one of the best bands in the world. If you haven't heard them, then check them out because pretty much they've got an album for everyone.
Yeah.
Even Swifties.
Yeah, even Swifties. I want to say 18 albums?
20.
Oh, yeah, no, you're right. Sorry. Yeah.
24, 25 albums.
So it was 18 in 2017.
Yeah. They're absolutely prolific. They're like Frank Zappa. Well, they're not quite Frank Zappa yet, but
there's lots of Frank Zappas in there.
They're trying to be.
Yeah.
Yes, so we were going to see this gig, and obviously, as you do, we decided to meet up beforehand at the Hop Vault, our boozer of choice, for a couple of pre-show pints.
We got well on our way pretty quickly, to be honest with you.
It was nice, yeah. There was some good beers flowing. And then a guy walked in with, the way I remember this, it was a suitcase of rum. Now, this is because they were doing some sort of cocktail event at the Hot Vault. So he was the guy leading this cocktail mixing class for the beds.
I didn't trust him.
No.
Didn't like the cut of his jib.
He was very he was a good salesman. So, and evidenced by the fact that we bought some spiced rum off him.
Kind of want to cover my drink up when I went to the toilet, if I'm honest with you.
Yeah.
That's the vibe I got from him.
He essentially just came in. We were probably two of the only people in at the time. I think
it was early doors.
It was early doors,
about 5:15, something like that.
And he pretty much like, "How you doing, lads? Are you coming to the thing tonight?" And we're like, "No, we're going to a gig." And he's like, "Well, make sure you try a bit of this then." And
that's how he spoke as well. It was like a walking advert.
Yeah, just started.
Have you tried this rum?
Different spiced rums, and he didn't care on the measures either. Nah. He was like, "Just top it up, man. Just have as much as you want."
Yeah.
And you were saying at the time, "Rum gets you fucked up, man. Don't do it."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Come on, Paul."
Yeah, you were throwing them back.
Oh yeah, I think we had about 4 or 5 of those. Dodgy measures, 3 different styles. They were like mixed in with other stuff. I think they were barrel aged
after
or something.
After a few pints of lager and sort of pale ales, and then maybe a couple of big strength IPAs. What I really like to follow up with is about 4 or 5 double rums.
Yeah,
I think that really, just
spice
puts the bonnet on the evening.
Yeah. So we did that, and then our taxi came, and then we went to the gig. Had a great night.
Oh, God, we drank some terrible lager, but we drank a lot of it.
Yeah.
2-pint cups. 2-pint cups. Yeah. The Wolverhampton Civic.
Yeah.
Holy shit, we had about 10 of them, I think.
And then after that, we stopped off for one at what used to be the little Civic.
Well, a little bit hazy at this point,
yeah.
if I'm honest.
And then the next thing I remember is waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning. The lights are on. I'm fully clothed. I'm kind of sat up but slumped slightly. And I'm like, oh shit, I've got to go to work in like 2 hours.
But you made it home, so that's a bonus.
Yeah. So this is the thing. I'm pretty good at getting home. I'm a bit like a homing pigeon.
Yeah. I let out the Uber sort of equidistance between our houses, and I sort of walked home, which would usually take me about 5 minutes from where I jumped out. I think it took me about 35 minutes because I was go from side to side, just stumbling over people's gardens. I apologise to number 36, by the way. Your lawn's a right state, and that's right. That's my fault. Your tulips are fucked. But when I managed to get to the front door, I got my keys out. I could see the keyhole. I knew where the key had to go. 10 minutes after I managed to crack that massive puzzle, I got in and I went straight to the fridge. Apparently, after about 10 minutes, my wife came down.
You didn't get a beer?
No.
Oh, God, I was going to say.
I was just eating cheese.
My cat's here again.
Oh, hello, cat. So I think I was just shoveling cheese into my mouth. My wife came down and just went, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm trying to get some cheese." Trying to get some cheese. She basically explains it. There was literally, she could see my legs hanging out the fridge.
I don't think we didn't eat enough.
No, definitely not.
No, I think that was definitely the problem. And also, we drank too much spiced rum. Also, Mark from the Hot Vault, his wife Hannah, attended that cocktail making class.
Oh, yes.
And he said he was woken up. This is Mark. He was woken up at 2 a.m. and she just kept turning the lights on and off. So obviously everyone had a good time on spiced rum that night.
I'm telling you, man, that guy, he's up to no good.
Yeah. Everyone had a damn fine rum job.
Yep, so that was rum job.
Yeah, so with regards to what beer that would be, because that's another thing that we like to do with this, we like to allocate it to a style of beer, maybe even a brewery.
Vault City.
No, I mean, we say these quite a lot, but I actually think with it being a rum job beer, it perhaps needs to be rum barrel-aged something. Rum barrel-aged
maybe
stout.
an Emperor's. Mind you, there'd be Star Wars reference. If you could work that into a Star Wars pub, that would work.
So, Turning Point, the brewery that usually...
or Siren.
Yeah, Siren. Either way, one of them. They should do that.
Yeah.
They should do rum job, and it should be a 12.5% rum barrel-aged imperial stout.
Guaranteed to make you fall asleep and wake up on the sofa at 5 o'clock in the morning with your pants around your ankles.
My pants were plainly on. I wouldn't have been at any sort of performance in that state. So okay, well, we can pretty much move on to the next segment of the show, which is usually talking about what we've been up to, which is kind of the same
I'm
as...
going to have to stop you there, though, Chris. I've had a voicemail today from our sponsor,
Mosaic Board Printers.
Mosaic Board Printers, the finest
Europe's leading beer mat manufacturers.
Excellent. Yeah, I was going to say the finest manufacturer of board printing in Europe, but yours works also.
Yeah.
But yeah, Nathan, who's our buddy over there, he's basically giving an ultimatum.
What?
So last podcast, we put up with it, and we had to play a jingle he'd put together with his new band. Nathan and Inkjets. Yeah. So it's a bit of
that took a while. I've managed to cut down a little section of that now, which we'll play at half time. So that should hopefully keep him
vanity project
happy.
Vanity project. But he's basically said we've got to play one of his songs every episode.
Well, another song? We're already playing one of his songs.
No, this is a new one he's put together. He's well into it now. He's gone all King Gizzard and Lizard Wizard. He's knocking out music left, right and centre. So he's got a new track. He sent it over and basically said if we don't play one of his tracks every podcast episode, he's going to pull the funding.
Can they do that? Have we not signed something that says that that's not...
Signing? Are you mad?
No, this is craft beer.
Do you want some money to go drinking? Yes, please. There we go. Gentleman's agreement. But unfortunately, he's thrown his weight around and we've got to play stuff from his band. So.
Hi guys, Nathan here. I've just finished up the song for the latest episode. A couple of things just to run over. In the previous episode, you only said the word mosaic 13 times, and I've got it in writing that it was going to be a guaranteed 18. So you need to up your game, boys, if you want the moolah. Cheers.
Okay, well, have we got the track?
Yep. Yeah.
Have you loaded it?
I've emailed it over to you.
Okay, well, I guess let's just play that then and keep them happy. Let's... Pretty talented.
Avast ye, you crusty sea snails.
Gone full on sea shanty.
Story of spiced rum and ales. This is about a night so grand. Drinking and watching our favourite band. It's the rum job, a night we won't soon forget.
But we did forget it.
The irony. There's a bit of a change in the time signature there.
That's just basically jazz. I like to sea shanty.
How long's this song going to go on for?
Oh man, knowing him, it's a 50-minute jazz odyssey.
In the hop vault before King Giz, a man appeared with a suitcase of rum. He plied us with booze until our taxi had come. Oh, the rum.
Very oddly specific lyrics though.
How does he know this? He just talks about this.
Yeah. Man's got powers. That's really good.
We spent the rest of the night watching the Lizard Wizard band, singing and dancing, 2 pint steins in hand. After that, well, the rest is a blur, fully clothed on the sofa and late for work. It's the rum job,
He's nailed it. He knows exactly what we were up to. Okay, that's enough. Yeah, thank you.
I mean, I don't know if it's a coincidence with those lyrics, but if it is, I mean, wow, what a coincidence! It's literally down to specific detail.
It's scary what they can do now.
Yeah,
Nathan and the Inkjets with the night of the rum job there.
Yeah, nice of the rum job.
Well, so we can move on now. Nathan's going to be happy. We've still got sponsorship with Mosaic Board Printers.
Mosaic Board Printers, Europe's finest.
Yeah, I mean
beer mat printer.
Okay, so we move on to the next bit. Let's just wrap up with what we were up to in terms of videos and stuff. First and foremost, actually, what I want to talk about is I had an explosion in my cupboard.
Oh, thank God.
Yeah, I had an explosion in my cupboard
Mm-hmm.
yesterday.
Oh, no. What popped?
It was a Basqueland Imperial Waffle Stout.
Really?
Yeah, it just went. I'm assuming it's a temperature issue, maybe.
Yeah.
Well, this is the thing. I don't store my stouts in the fridge. I store them.
I don't.
I store them. Not quite. I try and keep them not just a bit lower than room temperature. But I suppose I can't really do much about what's going on in there.
Yeah, I'm
put
the
a
same.
fan in there.
No, yeah, I've
Seems a
just
bit
got mine
excessive.
in a side room, and it's too hot in there, man. But I'm too lazy to move them.
I mean,
Terrible, really.
listeners, viewers, how do you store your stouts? Where do they go? Are you team fridge or team somewhere else?
It's. I think the happy medium is if you store them in the fridge, but then you take them out in plenty of time before you want to drink them.
Yeah.
And bring them up to semi-room temperature.
I get that, but my problem is I've got a limited beer fridge space.
Yeah.
And usually I'm just packing loads of hazes or
Which you've got to do.
lagers.
Yeah.
Or
Got to keep the crispy boys happy.
absolutely. And if it means upsetting the stouts a little bit, then I will. But I mean, they always taste good anyway.
It's a first world problem, though, isn't it? Let's
It
be
is,
honest.
yeah. So that happened. So that's what's been going on in my life.
I mean, it's not that eventful.
I went to Barcelona. I went to a techno rave.
I mean, that's pretty eventful.
Yeah, there's no beer involved. That doesn't really.
You went to a Taco Bell. Exciting,
I went to a Taco Bell in
exciting
Barcelona,
time in
yeah.
Spain. One of the culinary capitals of the world.
But what I did like there is you had a beer served with you with your meal.
Okay, in
So-
Taco Bell.
In Taco Bell, so it was a really big cup as well.
Nice.
I'm assuming it wasn't named; it was nondescript. I'm
Yeah.
assuming it was Estrella or Strella.
or something of that ilk.
Yeah, because
Something
it's brewed in Barca, isn't it? So
it
it's gonna be.
I mean, let's be honest, it's not the only thing you've done recently of note, because today, this is your second podcast.
It is.
Not my second podcast, because I was at work, bloody work. But yeah, you were able to join
Mr. Johnny Garrett from
Johnny Garrett,
Craft Beer Channel on the Friday 5 p.m.
the big boys,
Yep.
the
So-
gangsters of British beer YouTubing.
Gangsters of British craft beer.
Yeah, man. That's
Yeah, no.
a
So
big
Brad
win, man.
was away, but I mean, I suppose they got a happy medium because I've got similar hair.
Yeah, I was going to say,
So
yeah.
it kind of works. But no, it was a really nice chat. So good out. If you haven't listened to that, that's out now. That's the Friday 5 p.m.
It'll be out tomorrow in our time now, but by the time this goes out, it would have been out probably about a week or so. Yeah.
Been out like a few days. So yeah, go and listen to that, because that's where we talk more about just YouTube stuff, and also about the Heady Topper video that we did. That's very good.
Yeah, so we've done another couple of videos there, right? So around about the same time as the Heady Topper one, we did another video where we highlighted a few breweries
4 of our favourite breweries of this year so far.
of the
6
year
months.
so far, 6 months in. So yeah, 4 breweries that we like, perhaps need a bit more audience, a bit
I
more
think
eyes
so.
on them, but we think they're great and destined for big things. So
Yeah, let us know
check
if
that out.
you've tried any of those, because that video should be out by the time you're watching this.
Mm-hmm.
So,
But also, let us know about any other breweries that we should be aware of, because we are always looking for the next up and comers, the people who are kind of fighting the good fight, you know,
Yeah.
from their sheds or their little industrial estates.
this comes on to the next beer that we're going to drink.
Look at that, almost like it was planned.
Perfectly segged. Lost Cause, established 2024. Now, I know absolutely nothing about these. I saw them, fantastic can art. Saw them on the shelves in Hot Vault, and I was like, hey, I don't know what's going on there, but it's a new brewery, so let's go.
It's very new. Established 2024. Oh my
So-
God, they're babies.
Let's open this up and see what it's all about. What is it, Paul?
It's called Love You Bye by Luminosa.
That's how we always sign off with
Love
each
you.
other.
Love you, bye. Luminosa double dry hopped IPA at 6%.
Luminosa. That's a new one on me.
So yeah, I don't know Luminosa, but it's also got a bit of Motueka in there. So yeah, I'm feeling particularly new worldy. So let's see what it's like. I'm expecting lime and your usual tropical notes.
Almost certainly. Yeah, so I did have another one of their beers. So there was 2 in Hop Vault, so I picked up both of those. I thought I'd save this one for the channel because it looked the most interesting.
Do you know what I got from the Hop Vault the other day?
Go on.
Because my dad was coming around for Father's Day.
Did you get some trad?
No, I got a ton of Sonoma.
Oh, so that's where it all went.
Yeah, I bought a load of it. And
I literally went in the other day to try and get some, and it was gone.
And he loved it.
Ah.
Yep. And I've got a few Dayers as well, which he really likes. He likes Dayer. He doesn't know he likes Dayer.
Dayer are brilliant.
But every time he has a
Brilliant.
Dayer, he goes, "Oh, this is good."
Mm.
He likes the lower ABV ones, around 3.5 to 4%.
Magazine cover.
So I gave him a couple of those, and I threw in a 9% afterwards just to really fuck him up.
Yeah.
And, yeah, he did as well. So
Did he say he was going to end up voting Labour?
No.
No.
Dads don't vote Labour.
Dads don't vote Labour.
Anyway, cheers.
Let's go. Cheers.
So,
Lost Cause.
Lost
What
Cause.
do you know about them?
Absolutely nothing.
I know
Because you only pulled this out about 10 minutes before we started filming.
They're
But
from Yorkshire.
they're from
Near Leeds.
Castleford, yeah, which is kind of Pontefract way, I think.
I mean,
Yeah.
I want to say, if these were only established this year and they've come out with cans looking that good, and let's presume that this beer is going to...
Beer looks good. Dark orange, burnt
Beer
orange.
tasting good as well.
Is it good?
Yeah, that does taste good.
Smells
It's
fresh.
different as well, because it's got some... It's probably the Luminosa.
Oh,
It's quite sherbety.
oh, very sherbety.
Yeah. Bit of
Also
lemon.
really, really sharp as well. Lots of lime in there.
That's really nice. Very refreshing. That's what we need in this weather.
Well, that's a new hop on us, so yeah, thanks, Lost Cause.
Yeah, so we'll take a delve into them, I think. Yeah, well, I mean, that pretty much wraps up the first half, I think. We're hurtling towards half time, so let's do the jingle, I think. Let's get that out of the way.
Get
and
the
then
jingle out
we
the
can
way.
talk about Cask Controversy. So, end of part 1.
And now, time for a word from PlanetBeerTV sponsor.
Let me tell you, dear listener, about some cool dudes. Mosaic board printers tearing up all the rules. They got in touch with Chris and Paul, and now they sponsor the show. So there's no telling now how far they will go. So why not order some beer mats for your tap room or bar? Mosaic board printers, they do the best mats by far. No bar, no excuses, because beer mats have other uses. You can competitively flip them or use them in business cards. Mosaic board printers, beer mats for your bar. Mosaic board printers, the best beer mats by far. They're proud sponsors of our show, so we're telling you to go to Mosaic board printers. Order some beer mats right now.
Welcome to part 2.
Part 2.
Yeah, we've... I'm glad we've got that jingle out the way. I'm not sure I'm ever going to get used to it.
No, it's a bit of an earworm, but
Yeah.
fair play to Nathan and the Inkjets.
Nathan and the Inkjets, thank you. So we've just given people the broccoli of mundane conversation.
Yeah, now we want the meat of discourse.
Yeah, so we're going to go for the main course now, guys.
Oh,
So
yeah.
this is where we're going to dwell a little bit in relevant beer chat.
Yeah, but before that, let's just talk about what we're drinking.
Yes, because you've just poured this.
I've just poured this, and it's from one of my favourite breweries, actually, to be honest with you. I think these are knocking out some absolute bangers. And this is Abyss.
Okay.
And this is Superfuzz, which is one of their core IPAs, and it's 5.6, and it is Chinook, Simcoe, and Citra. And I got this from Brewser, by the way.
Brewser, yeah. So good to see Abyss are on there, as are Beak, who are also across the road from them. And if you're not on Brewser and you want to be there and you want £10 off your first box, then use the code PlanetBeerTV.
What's that code?
PlanetBeerTV. All one word. Jump on it. But yes, so let's digress back to Abyss. So I've had their box before. Not recently, obviously, but good. I was very impressed with
I had
them.
a couple of their beers at the weekend from that very box, and I wish I could remember which one it was, but one of them was Knockout. Proper good summer session beer. Just full of flavour, relatively low ABV, but actually, absolutely nailed it in terms of what we wanted. After a long walk, sitting down, getting ready to eat. Bang.
Perfect.
Lovely.
I'd say I'd check your Untapped, but we've both pretty much given up on putting stuff in Untapped. We're pretty shit at it.
Dare you? I put everything in.
Do you?
Yeah. I don't put every drink I've had, but I put every new beer I have.
Did you put Heady Topper in? I'm pretty sure you haven't.
I've had it before.
Oh, okay. You're one of those, are you? Fine. Unique chaser. No, I'm terrible at it. Saw Dave in the Hop Vault, who suggested a load of places in Barcelona for me to go and visit, which I did. And Beer Cab was one of the places that I went to. It's like about 17, 18 taps, probably more than that, actually, about 20 taps. But because I was there socialising and, Wi-Fi isn't always great or whatever, I didn't check anything. I checked in one beer.
Yeah, I'm like that.
And Dave was like, I thought something might have been wrong because you only checked in one beer at Beer Cab, and there's a lot more than that. And I was like, I forgot.
After a few beers, I just can't be bothered. But I end up just like hoping someone else logs, and I'll just steal it the next day off people, or I'll just take a photo of the tap list and hope for the best.
People watching, people whose ears that we're in, tell us, how do you go about doing your Untapped?
In your ears. But hang on, let's just jump back to Abyss a second.
Sorry, I'm getting really sidetracked.
You're getting sidetracked with Untapped nonsense. So Abyss are in Lewes, Lewis,
yeah.
Literally directly opposite another brilliant brewery, Beak, and Beak probably are the only entry we've got this week for our Doom Bar segment.
Steve Powers, the Doom Bar. Yeah, so usually this is a segment within the podcast where we talk about the latest and greatest bad news that's going on in the beer industry.
Of which there is a lot.
But actually, considering it's been a few weeks since we recorded our last podcast, there's not that much.
We've had our usual spate of pub closures and bar closures, and some ones in Birmingham, actually, which are quite shocking. But, that's going to keep happening, so we won't dwell on that. Keep it light, eh?
Yeah. But what we can talk about, because no harm was really done in this Doomy segment.
Only to egos.
Yeah. So this was the These Hills Festival.
Yeah.
Which is this weekend just gone, or a couple of weekends, I don't know.
This weekend, yeah.
The Saturday day session, which is, let's be honest, that's the main event, isn't it?
So it's These Hills being Beak's yearly festival.
Yep. Down on the cliffs, probably. I don't know. Is it?
Why not?
In my head, it is.
Sure.
Yeah. So, and apparently they had to. The Saturday day session was cancelled due to weather.
Horrible weather.
Adverse weather conditions. Apparently they couldn't get a marquee down. It was just unsafe.
Yeah, it was horribly unsafe, and so they had to, for moral purposes and insurance purposes, cancel the day, right? Mm-hmm. Really horrible for them to do. The decision cannot have come lightly.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's literally the one thing. This is the one thing we did not want to happen.
Yeah. And you know what? It costs them hundreds of thousands of pounds, to get this set up, and God knows how much of their time. It's a real passion project, and to have to cancel it must have been soul destroying.
Yeah, I mean, now, the Saturday is the main day.
It's where they're going to make the money back. It's when most people are going to come. It's going to be the sort of pinnacle of their festival they're putting together. And look, hey, we've just given a little bit of human emotion to that. We feel sorry for them. We understand why they did it. So why is it the vitriol that poor buggers at Beak had to put up with, because they cancelled that was so aggressive. I mean, I read some ridiculous stuff on social directed towards those guys. There was a lot of love, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But the odd twat who was just going
I would have been
berserk.
fine with that.
Yeah, I've had to come from London. London! Of all places, 10 minutes down the road. You know.
Are you saying that the Northerners probably would have been way more accepting despite
They-
having travelled further?
They were probably walking down in wellies anyway.
Yeah, well, it's just a normal day for people from the North.
Bare-chested and roaring. But, you know, it's poor buggers, man. And as I say, God, how much money they must have lost through that. Must have been
Yeah,
terrible.
I mean, I think the only saving grace was that they were able to host, people in the tap room. But then, it's never ideal.
No.
It's
So
not made for that measure of traffic, is it?
if
Foot
you were
traffic.
one of those people who were put out, and quite rightly, I'd be put out too. But one of those people who decided to have a massive crack at Beak and Beak adjacent family, go fuck yourselves, you miserable cunts. It happened.
Wow.
No. I mean, come on, it happened. They did it for health and safety purposes, and they did it at a massive cost to them. So stop moaning.
I was going to say chill out, but I mean, then you said that, so
Yeah, just stop moaning.
okay. Well, that's
So shut up.
yeah. So that's Paul shouts at clouds, clouds which are causing adverse weather. Yeah, I mean, like I say, it's not really a bad Doom Bar segment, so but mercifully. We don't want them all to be terrible.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on now to the meat of discourse.
The meat of discourse.
The meat of discourse. I don't think I'm going to call it this as a segment.
I like it.
Yeah, the meat of discourse.
It feels a bit like another podcast, though. Like the
Yeah.
Off Menu podcast, for
Yeah,
example.
yeah.
The pudding of chit chat.
Yeah. Yeah.
The amuse bouche of parlay.
Aperitif of tittle tattle.
Nice.
Yeah. Okay. So let's get stuck into this article. This fantastic, I think.
I thought it was
article.
really well written.
Now, first and foremost, let's give the background to this. So
Please
this
do.
is a beer writer who is American. I think it's Jeff Allworth, is it?
Jeff Allworth, yeah, from
And
Beervana.
He's got a blog called Beervana. And he wrote a think piece that was called What If Camera Had Valued Quality Over Romance?
Yeah, which is a great title, because this sums up in that very title discussions me and you have been having for quite a while now.
And I think we've talked about, we've done a couple of reels on one of the live streams where I kind of went off on a rant about Cask. You've long been threatening to basically write this article.
Yeah.
This guy's basically written what was in your brain, and you were going to do this as a bit of a think piece targeting the camera.
Well, luckily he can write particularly well and put down his thoughts much better than I can.
Yeah. So within this article, he essentially he kind of levels the blame at camera for hampering cask beer as much as they are saving or supporting it.
Yeah.
And that's based down on the fact that they refuse to bring in or acknowledge or embrace measures such as things like cask breathers, which put a bit of CO2 into the beer, into the cask to keep it
as fresh as it can be.
As fresh as it can be for long as it can. So it adds on a few days to the shelf life of the cask. But Camera don't like that because it's not traditional, mate.
Well, they've accepted it. They're still not endorsed.
Well, they're neutral on it. That's their official position.
They haven't endorsed it in any way, shape, or form. But they've not said that they're against it. Anyway.
And there is, I don't know if this is definitely an official thing, but from what I've been told by certain people, it does impact whether you go into the Good Beer Guide for whatever that's worth.
I mean,
if you use cask breathers, you won't get into the Good Beer Guide.
I mean,
allegedly,
I'd like to see some evidence to support the Good Beer Guide being of any relevance whatsoever anymore, outside of a very niche group of people. However, that aside, I've long been saying camera is an absolute detriment to modern beer making. I just believe everything they stand for stands in the way of progress and longevity in the world of beer making, and that also involves traditional beer methods such as cask, which is supposed to be their only reason for existing.
No, it's just there. Yeah.
But what this article has done is it shed a little bit of light on the history of camera, which I didn't know about. Really interesting stuff. So I didn't realise cameras started sometime in the late 60s, early 70s, and
the guys knew nothing about beer.
The reason they started, the group, the couple who started the movement was because, let's be honest, it was the 60s and everyone was protesting against something, and these guys just hippies who thought, this new wave of American keg beer is coming over, and this could threaten a traditional manufacturing process in the beer industry. So obviously I would have protested against that, even though I don't really understand what it means. And apparently they had to go down into a cellar at some point and understand what cask beer actually was, so they knew what they were moaning about and protesting against. So that was quite eye-opening. And actually, I'll be honest with you, the mirror of that to what camera is now is poetic. Because I really struggle to see how camera, when they really think about it, can say what they're fighting for progresses the greater good in any way, shape or form.
Yeah. I mean, obviously the article didn't go down well. I think that's safe to say. Even though I was reading it and I was like, this guy's pretty much saying everything that I think. Yes, there was maybe a bit of dramatism in there. It was perhaps a bit. It
was judged up
a bit alarmist
for that kind of article he was writing.
Because I mean,
right?
One of the main things to consider here is that cask beer now only makes up for 9% of UK beer sales.
Mm-hmm.
10 years ago, it was 30.
Mm-hmm.
So it's shrinking.
Yeah, massively.
And he's looking at one of the reasons why.
Mm-hmm.
And as we've talked about before, one of his theories is that it's the quality, it's the inconsistent quality, it's the fact that you can't always be guaranteed a good one. People just do it because it's an institution, not because they've got the love for it, and it's just expected.
Yeah.
So because of that, you get shit beer, and what that does is this new generation of beer drinkers that are coming through, they don't want that. They'll just steer away from it because it's like, well, I might have the best pint of cask I've ever had if I order from here, or I might have just a fucking pint of vinegar or stale.
Yeah.
Boxy beer.
And this is purely from my own experience, but some of the pubs I've been drinking in for 20 odd years, the quality has gone down the pan massively. Two reasons for that, as far as I can see. And again, this is just my opinion. I'd love to hear anyone else's opinion. One is, let's be honest, people aren't spending much time in the pub anymore and not spending the money. For a good cask of beer to be, at its best, you want to open it, and within 3 days or 3-4 days you want to drink it, right? Within that time, you're going to get the best of that beer, right? That's not happening anymore. People aren't spending. It's taking longer to pour through casks in a lot of pubs, and so a lot of people are now experiencing the fade of the quality of beer, right? The second part of that is something you touched on, is there is no education about what it takes to open and preserve and serve cask beer, right? There's massive push through of staff who don't give a shit in pubs. That's exacerbated by the real demons of this story, the Green Kings of the world, and the big breweries who are monopolising the trad world. No one cares, no one's educated, the quality suffers, and as such, as we Starbucks the hell out of all these pubs, that's people's first experience of cask beer. So those, in my opinion, are the two biggest reasons why it's going down the pan rapidly. And also that there's the kind of loss of pub as a cornerstone as community.
Yeah,
as well,
yeah.
right?
I mean,
that's a societal change, which we're not going to do anything about. But
no, yeah. I mean, the thing that I found from reading, obviously the article was a thing in itself, but on Twitter or X, just the discourse on there, man. There's just some. It was like people weren't reading the article. It's like people perhaps read the headline, read the first bit, like the first couple of paragraphs, and then just flew off into a frenzy and started replying to him, because a lot of them were kind of missing the point, or also reinforcing his point at the same time as arguing against him. You have people on there saying like, well, if you can't sell cask in 3 days, then maybe you shouldn't be selling cask. And it's like, well, okay, man, that's fine, but that's not the reality of many pub situations. Or
it's a weird thing as well, because we've seen it time and time again. I've noticed it in a few pubs. I was in the Hop Vault a few weeks back, and a bunch of guys walked in, and I'm not going to judge a book by its cover, but I would bet my wife on the fact they were camera members. That's it. Because there's a look of a certain age with a certain look, and they walk straight in. They've never been in the pub before. Walk straight up the bar. Went, where's your cask? So that's what you're dealing with.
Where is it?
And luckily, the Hop Vault have got some really good cask on, and they keep it very, very well. So no biggie, and they enjoyed it. However, that mentality is ridiculous, because if all you're doing is drinking based on the way it's preserved and served, it's just a baffling way of like eliminating all these other experiences you're going to have around beer, and then being able to formulate why cask is so important in the history and the medium of beer. Yeah, because it's not going to be relevant very long. It's not going to be prevalent. It's dying out really quick. Within a generation, it's going to be specialist pubs doing cask as a specialist pour.
And we've talked about that, and that my controversial beer opinion is that I don't think that's a bad thing, but it almost feels like it needs to fucking get burnt down to the ground to kind of come back.
But the infrastructure goes then, doesn't
it?
Right?
But yeah, you're right. There's nothing to say then that anything will actually come back. It's just gone then.
Off. I mean, preserving cask is an undertaking and expense on in its own right. It's it's a specialist thing.
Yeah.
But sorry, Chris.
Sorry.
I was going to say the other thing I think about this article on Beervana, which has kind of ruffled a few feathers, is one, it's an American writing about something that is obviously a British tradition and very passionate to people, but also I'm going to criticise him a little bit. It's very generalised about it. So I think a lot of the people who were complaining about it afterwards were saying things like you mentioned. Well, come to Manchester. It's brilliant cask beer. Well, yeah, and actually it's brilliant in our neck of the woods as well. For the most part, we live in the Black Country, which is the mecca as far as I'm concerned for cask beer, and they're still doing it brilliantly. But it is regionalised, and I think there's a lot of regional bias and geography bias around these things, because, I mean, Christ, man, you go 20 miles down the road from Manchester, south, east, you're going to struggle to get a good cask beer, I think.
The thing is, by saying, oh, well, it's fine where we are, maybe you just need to go there, that just reinforces the fact of, well, maybe it's time that it was a specialist thing. Maybe it was time that we stopped accepting that cask just needs to be rolled out into every Tom, Dick and Harry pub alongside its fucking Madries and Carlsbergs and whatever.
And the fact that the author, I forget his name again, sorry.
Jeff Allworth.
Jeff is an American, and he's referencing some quality American improvements in the cask manufacture and the cask serving process. It's clearly going to ruffle a few, feathers as well. But but he's right.
Aspirator or cask breathers are literally It even says in the thing that the camera tested them and they couldn't tell the difference. So
and they even stacked the decks as well. So they put in an old aspirated beer against a very fresh, non-aspirated cask beer,
and they still couldn't tell.
Well, it still came out better. The blind tasters, the aspirated beer still came out better. So it's just blinkered. It is crazy. So when the Americans are taking the British tradition of cask manufacture and improving it, that's people are going to like that. even though it's fact. I mean, there's some brilliant innovations going on over there. And, if this keeps up, there's going to be a bigger American cask industry than there is over here in the UK.
But yes, my belief is that we need to embark on a campaign to make cask breathers acceptable in the industry.
Yeah.
Because they should be. I mean, they literally make all the difference to the shelf life of the beer.
It's ridiculous. I mean, and also we've got to appreciate that businesses are struggling. So why are we not giving small tap rooms, breweries, pubs every tool at their availability to prolong the shelf life of their product?
I think we should.
Yeah.
So we've actually got an idea for a video on that. So we will be. It's kind of bubbling away, and we'll be doing an empirical experiment.
Yeah.
That will prove pretty much we're pretty sure that aspirated cask
science, bitches,
is better.
Yeah, man. We're going to do some science, and we're going to we need a good name for it. I don't think make aspirators great once.
No.
Mago really works.
Yeah. No.
We'll think of it.
Well, we'll find something. There's no doubt going to be some shirts in it.
Yes.
I mean, by using breathers, I mean, you're going to make cask great again.
Yep. So look forward to that. And also, can you stop fingering that beer, please, Chris?
Sorry, I'm
putting your dirty paw prints all over it.
Thirsty. So this is going to be our night cap. Our nightcap. We have got this. So the beer that I'm picking up now is the one that we're not going to be drinking, and this was the Cloudwater Elusive and Pellicle West Coast Red Double IPA.
We might drink that in the green room after.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're
drinking now, though.
We're drinking an American beer because I think logically, flowing on from the American article we've just been talking about, American brewery kind of fits. So we're drinking a Parish Brewing Company.
I've heard the name, but where are they from?
Louisiana.
Yeah, I've been to Louisiana.
Hops and racism. And then this is called Ghost in the Machine, and it is, well, it's a dipper, but it doesn't actually say what's in it, so we're going to have to guess.
It smells American straight from the off.
But it's 8%, so yep. It's a chunky monkey.
You're on a good American
I know. I don't know what's happened, man.
You're really into them.
Yeah, well, we got this off Brew Export, I think, and Brewser have done some stuff with Brew Export, and I've got a load of American stuff all in one go, and I was buying stuff from other places. Yeah, they've just hit right. So I'm appreciating big, strong American IPAs at the moment.
My mate Matt just got back from New York.
Nice.
And he basically it was very much a beer trip.
Oh, that's nice.
And he said that over there, although the hazies in terms of like your pale ales and your IPAs, we've definitely caught up in that regard.
Yeah.
But he said when it comes to your tippers, he's like there's just something about their tippers and that they're just on another level, which is interesting. So he reckons the high ABV stuff is
100%, and I think that's what it is. I think I still prefer the British take on American beer.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? It just sits with my palate right, because I think we sacrifice the kind of malty character of these with the more hoppy nature and the bitter nature, which our palates are kind of used to, I guess, traditionally. But they're really growing on me in most aspects. But we've started focusing quite a lot on American stuff, really, haven't we? Because we've done the Heady Topper video, which hopefully you guys have watched by now. So that was great. We've done a few other...
We've done the UK versus US,
yeah, we've done a few of those things as well. But the big American brewery showcases are the things you want to focus on going forward as a regular series.
We need to get our hand on Russian Rivers, Pliny.
And we nearly did.
Nearly did, yeah. It eluded our grasp, but we will be managing to...
Some more's coming up, apparently.
Yeah, we'll get hold of it.
Yeah.
So Pliny...
Human error got in the way there. Let's put it that way.
It happens.
But I have got, Chris, I don't know if I told you, I have managed to get some Treehouse coming over.
Okay.
So we've got some Almighty Julius.
I don't think I've ever had a Treehouse beer.
I've had a few Treehouse beers. The Julius beers I thought were a little bit underwhelming. Although the sort of King Julius beers are meant to be great, and the King Double J Julius is meant to be fantastic. But I've got the Almighty Julius, which is a tipper.
Oh, there you go. Well, that's
we'll do a video on that instead.
Put the tipper to the test.
Yeah, and we'll have some Hill Farmstead as well in that.
Hill
mix.
Farmstead, yeah. See that? Now that's one of the comments that we got on the Heady Topper video. Actually, might just highlight that one because what this guy seemed to know about Heady Topper and beer in New England generally, in that area in Vermont. Yeah, so this comment was from a guy called Viper29CA. And what he did is he gave us the hops that go into Heady Topper.
Yes,
because obviously we said that we weren't sure. So just to kind of set that to rest, Simcoe, Centennial, Amarillo, Apollo, and CTZ.
Oh, we weren't far off. What's CTZ?
CTZ, I looked into that. That's something like Columbus, Tomahawk, and Zeus. It's like they're three very similar hops, and they apparently get kind of lumped in together in like a pellet form, I guess.
Also, my early follows on Grindr.
Wow. But the rest of his comment, I mean, I'm not going to read it because it's really long. I think he did like two comments, and they're both really long. But the first comment, he gives us pretty much the history of Alchemist.
Legend.
And kind of how the brewery kind of came about and how they came into brewing Heady Topper. He's obviously done a brewery tour there of some sort. And then the second one is he basically he told us where to go in Vermont.
Amazing.
And he told us things that we'd not heard of before. So obviously, you know, the
big ones. The big boys.
Your Alchemist, Hill Farmstead, you know, need to check those out. But then he gave us some other ones as well, which is very interesting. So check out those comments on that video if you haven't, because especially if you're planning a trip to New England, because he should be a travel guide. I've
absolutely looked into, you know, doing the road trip around New England, like most of us probably have, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
It's weird because a lot of the main ones are all kind of grouped together, and the weird thing is, which is really weird to I think British people in general, is the fact you have to drive because obviously public transport isn't going to connect you to these sort of remote places.
Public transport, man?
But, you know, driving as a British person to a place with alcohol, are you mad?
Yeah.
You know, so...
But isn't that thing like about Alchemist? When you go there, you're allowed 2 drinks.
And also, they close really early. I think they're done by 9 o'clock, you know, which is... Well, in fact, even earlier than that. I think it's like, you know, dinner time.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a bit of a...
But annoyingly, their go-to places, they're like, God damn, we've got to go. Even though they're calling all the shots and telling us when to come, how much we can drink, what we can drink, when we need to leave, when we can go to the toilet. I imagine that's all very much drilled down onto a schedule.
You got something planned in your mind?
Oh.
You got some kind of issues coming up to the surface there? You can't blame American breweries in Vermont for all your problems, Chris.
Maybe it's all connected.
Maybe it is.
Okay, well, that pretty much wraps up this one, because, I mean, this Parish is absolutely delicious. I think I poured it all, yeah. Thank you very much for listening, guys, and we will see you on the next one. Like and subscribe all our videos. Keep following this podcast, and, hey, drink irresponsibly.
Nice.
Can I say that? I don't know. Maybe I shouldn't. Put the irresponsible. Put the IR in brackets.
You can't just be throwing out new catchphrases. They're making them stick. If we're not legally allowed to be saying things like that. And remember, drink like you're an alcoholic. Jesus Christ.
Whatever. Anyway, thanks for listening. Bye.
Bye. Love you. Bye.
The Fantasy Beer Name Podcast is brought to you by PlanetBeerTV. This episode was recorded by Luke Bartlett. Thanks once again to our wonderful sponsors, Mosaic Board Printers.